Finally, a round table where we also have Sandeep Reddy Vanga. His wish has, come true. So guys, let's have a look at Galatta Plus Mega Roundtable 2023 with Bhardwaj Rangan. It has Karan Johar, Rani Mukerji, Taapsee, Rima Das, Sandeep Reddy Vanga, Jude Anthony Joseph. Quite a big and variety of names. So it'll be interesting to see what they talk about. Now, these are 2 hour long versions. So of course, that means there'll be 2 parts of it. This is part 1 and part 2 you'll find at the end of this. If you haven't seen the original interview, it's on Galatta Plus. I'll put the link to it in the description below. So without any delay, let's have a look.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Galatta Plus Roundtable Pan India. Thank you so much for being here, taking out your time, and especially Jude, because you just flew from
Nokia sponsored. It's great to see that. You can follow me on Nokia for all my reviews and recommendations.
A grueling 45-day Oscar campaign for 2018.
Oh yep.
You
They're
landed
sadly out though.
yesterday, and you're here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Are you jet lagged at all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So what is it? What does it take to campaign for a film in the US? Like, just briefly tell me, what is it that you did for 45 days?
I should thank to the people here in Film Federation of India who has selected India's official India's for my film, and I'm sure Rima is here. Rima has been there previously,
Right.
So it's a wonderful journey there in the Oscars. I know people know better than me, but to meet people there and to have the screening your own film screened for the members there, and to have reception with these people and to talk to them and to get feedback from them, that's awesome feeling as a filmmaker. And to be an Indian there, we represent India there as an Indian official entry. So it was awesome journey, and I just loved it. And I'm very thankful to the people of India for watching my film.
So nice.
And making it the biggest Malayalam blockbuster of all time.
Yeah.
So that's like something. So you get the biggest commercial hit and this Oscar thing. It's the 2-in-1.
That's 2-in-1 is
amazing.
Blessing.
So you go to LA, or like LA, right?
LA, yeah.
Right. So once you're there, what do you do with the film? Like, you have various screenings?
Yes.
Okay.
We have to get a publicist first, and he will plan the things like screening with reception, screening without reception. Then you have to give advertisement in magazines. That is highly costly, like $15,000 for a single page ad.
Oh my God.
And you have to give at least 10 to 15 ads, something like that. And the producer has to...
It's expensive, it should not be that case, because the more people have money, the more you can publicize your movie. That makes no sense, but that's the way it is.
Think it before, I am going to spend crores of money for only the advertisements. And after that, you have to meet so many people, and the publicist told me that even if they love the film, they have to love you. So after the screening, you have to be very genuine.
So it's not just enough to make...
You have to sell yourself.
You have to go and schmooze. You have to go and...
Yeah, it's thank you so much. And it's and the people loved the film. That's the main thing. And they were asking me, how did you shoot the film? And for them, $3 million is nothing for them. But for a Malayalam film, it's a huge budget for them.
Yep.
So when I was saying the budget, it's $3 million. They was how did you shoot the film in $3 million? I said, that's how we Indians make film in India. We have the budget constraint, but we try to make the good films. So thanks to all the filmmakers who have done films before me. So I just learned from them how to make films in short span of time.
So Jude, would you say that it makes sense then to send pictures whose producers have the financial means to kind of mount this kind of Oscar campaign?
That will be great, actually. Actually, last year's film, the Cello Show, that film was financed by Siddharth Roy Kapoor, and he did well, and he got in the shortlist 15 films, and that was done because I knew from the members, they were saying about last year's entry, so he did well, actually. So if we are sending a film with the financial background, that will be a great thing. But Film Federation of India is supporting the films from the government, giving some money to them. But in fact, I have seen so many other countries supporting the film there. They are not that rich countries, but they are still doing better than us. So I was thinking next time maybe we should support more. I just made a checklist for the next year guy. Do something.
Nice. This is good. This is good. You should help at least the next year person who's going. They should know how to deal with it.
It's like you have to do this, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Yeah, I think.
And paneling helped me a lot with the last year's director. I called him and I talked to him like 1.5 hours, and he was like, you do this, you do that. And he was saying that I came to know about this only after the Oscar campaign. So better you do this thing.
That's good.
But I was too late to call him. I was there in the 30th day and I called him. I was like, oh, I could have called you in the first day itself. So again, it's depends on how the members votes, and I hope we'll get into the shortlist first.
Right. By the way, he has a Rani Mukerji connection,
Okay.
and she has a Rani Mukerji connection. His comes because he was approached by a
Director, writer,
producer,
writer,
a writer.
Hollywood writer. He just messaged me after the IFFI here in Goa. He messaged me saying that I'm a writer from Hollywood.
Where? Did they shoot this in Goa? What?
I want to make a film with you. I said, yeah, we can. Then he was saying, I want to make a film with Rani as a lead, and can you direct it? I was like, are you saying that? I said, I'm in LA. I will come to India and call you. I still have his number, so
Okay.
that's in the process.
Yeah, so there's a chance for you to maybe appear in a Malayalam film.
Oh, that will be lovely.
So, and Rima came to Mumbai wanting to be Rani Mukerji.
Oh, how sweet.
Right. So, Rima, do you want to tell us a bit about your journey? Like, of course, now you're this very acclaimed director. I would rather call you an all-in-one army because you write, you shoot, you edit, you produce,
Wow.
It's amazing. You do like pretty much everything.
Didn't have choice.
But first, you wanted to become an actor.
Yes.
What was your
yes.
experience like here?
I was only exposed to Bollywood films, and I
This is a lovely story.
loved it. So when I came to especially Bombay to become an actor, so I wanted to be like her. But slowly, it was not easy coming from totally, being I'm not saying outsider, somehow I feel I was not ready. I didn't have that kind of confidence. And also from my region, I feel that time there was not enough representation. It was hard to find
That's
a
true.
role, and also limited, no streaming platform that time, so limited films, daily soap. So slowly when I got exposed to world cinema, then it gave me courage to go back to my roots and make my own films.
And that's fantastic because you put Assam on the map like nobody before. And now I'm very excited about Village Rockstars 2. That's coming out next year,
Oh, looking forward to
Hopefully.
it.
hopefully. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
on edit.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
We want to see what Dunu does next. So,
Thank you.
so Sandeep, you had a success this year, I think.
Oh, I want to see how BR managed this.
I want to ask you especially about one thing because last year on this panel, actor Karti said that the one thing that people really make their minds up with is the trailer of a film. That's what really draws them to the film. And your trailers are very unique in that, see, most trailers try to tell a story. I think you try to sell an emotion in the trailer. And that's what I've noticed, but correct me if I'm wrong. And while most trailers try to show lots of little snapshots from the film saying all this is there in the movie, like
Yeah.
come and watch our movies.
I still believe Animal is one of the best trailers of the year, of last year. Like I still like go back, watch it, and I feel it gives you more satisfaction than I think the whole film did, in a sense. Like the film is good, I find it okay, but like the trailer, the emotions, everything, I felt all of that would be in 200 in the film, but that was not the case.
You actually put scenes. How did this become your mode of saying this is how my trailer is going to be? And can you take us through the process of putting together the
Like if you don't know it, but when you see the film, you realize he put the climax of the movie at the first like 30-40 seconds of the trailer.
Trailer for Animal.
To start with, I always wanted to give a trailer which tells one side of the story, not the entire story. I don't like giving away the entire story, and I never liked those small intercuts. And I thought opening the trailer with a conflict will be interesting. So when I started opening the topic of father and son, then I figured out it is holding my attention. So that particular opening, I just left it for 40 seconds. The scene was still running and it's still interesting. So then I figured out after that what will be the next shot. So I didn't had a template.
Like, if you have no idea who the actors are, who these people, like, just see that 40 seconds. That tells you what is this about. A son is talking, father is calling father, he's telling about this incident in his life. Let's, role reversal. And you're already hooked. Like, what's happening here? That's like, that's the power of a scene.
But like what it will be after this 40 seconds. And eventually I built it up little.
Right.
To the crux point, yeah. So there's no formula for it actually.
No, I know it's not a formula, but it's a style. It's so that because people don't usually let scenes run for so long in a trailer. That's why I was.
Even in Arjun Reddy, I used after a few years.
Yeah.
People don't use after a few years in trailer. So I thought like it is very compelling when I see it like an outsider, not like my film.
Right.
I thought like it is smooth hair, it's going good. So I thought, and when Animal teaser went on to like again few people felt it was again with anger management. So I thought maybe I gave a wrong signal. So I thought like I'll stick to the story. we didn't even guess that the trailer is going to be that big success. I thought like let's give what is in the story.
Right.
But only one side of it, not the entire story. So yeah.
When you say one side of it, you mean the father-son conflict?
Yeah, father-son, and there's so many other facets also in the film.
Right.
And I didn't want to open major action also because there are only 2 actions. It's only in one set of scenes, so I can't open too much also. And those fast cuts I never liked. I was never a fan of those cuts. So ho gaya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Karan, this is your 25th year in the industry as a director. Of course, you started a little earlier, but 25 years since Kuch Kuch Hota Hai released.
Okay, guys, if you don't know, we did a critics roundtable on the main channel. Check it out, where something similar happened.
And of course, one of your stars is right there. Now, when you directed this film, you were all of what, 24, 25?
Interesting to go about a roundtable, asking everyone one question. Maybe just to make everyone comfortable before opening a question for everyone. Everyone has to, come in and talk about their thought, about it.
24. At that time, there was no Google, internet, how to teach yourself to make films, do it yourself, whatever it is. It's basically, so where did you get the confidence that you could direct the film?
So I think like the way things unraveled were really rather destiny related. There's no other way, because I didn't think I was equipped, to kind of make my first feature film. My training ground was, I hadn't gone to film school. Though my father produced films, I lived geographically in a totally different part of the city. So I was very far removed from the Nepo kids. I never hung out with them a lot, barring Zoya and Farhan, Abhishek and Shweta. And Adi and Uday I met much later. It was thanks to Adi that I actually got sucked into being on a film set. Like I was actually going to study out of the country and come back and, because my mother believed that my father had lost a lot of money in the movies. And she felt like his business acumen and my business acumen cumulatively was a big zero. So she said get a job, get a stable job which has a salary, because if you make movies, it's so unreliable. And then Adi called me one night and said that, what are you doing? Like, you're a filmmaker, you're melodramatic. You have a sense of humor, you're dancing all the time, you sing all the time though you can't sing, and the only thing you don't have in you is an interval. You should be on a film set. So he asked me to AD on Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. And it's the very first, when I entered the set, I was like, I'm going to be a costume designer, but I'm not telling anybody. Because I was like, that is really my calling. Because if I tell people I want to make movies, they might laugh. So the very first day I remember Adi telling me that Shah Rukh is coming on set. and Shah Rukh is coming on set, and you have to get him some costume from some Chandni ka peti, and because we didn't have a costume ready. Now he didn't realize that me going into Chandni ka peti was like literally, I'm going to use the word an orgasm for me. Because I couldn't believe I was going to see Sridevi's iconic saris. I was like, forget anything else. And he said, ek unused kama. So there was an unused red and white sweater. And Shah Rukh had to come to do that very famous shot where he has to wave at Kajal at the end of Na Jaane Mere. So I found this red and white striped. And then there was a emblem on a Rishi Kapoor jacket, which I had to cover a tear. There was a big tear. So I thought I had done some genius thing. I put that emblem over that. And if you see, there's an emblem on that red and white sweater. Then I walked in and
Crazy stories. All the behind the scenes, especially in the older films, you hear some stuff like, "Arey, we just did this and that happened and something happened and we made a film," and you were like, what? A film we call classic and such amazing film. I've seen so much thought and, behind the scene was just they randomly did something and it worked.
Look, I had met me because my father was producing a film for him called Duplicate, but he had met me once briefly. So I looked at him and I said, you should wear tighter jeans. So he looked at me and he said, like, he was just like, and I was saying very strange things to him for a assistant because I'm very new to this world. So I was like, your body shape will look better in tighter jeans. Then I said, you should show your Adam's apple because a lot of girls think it's very attractive. So he said, whatever he said, just call Adi in. So he said, who is this person? Why is he telling me I should show my Adam's apple and tight jeans? He kahan se aaya hai? So he was like, quintessentially in Bombay, if you're a Mumbaiker, you know that you call them townies if you're from South Bombay. He said, townie hai, he knows all these things. You just listen to him. So he wore that costume and I thought I'd found my calling. Like, then I'm going to be a costume designer. That was my calling. That, that I'll make costumes and that will be my biggest achievement. I didn't even think. It was when I was on the top of so what happened is that I had helped writing the climax scene of Dilwale, which Shah Rukh says, Bauji theek kehte hain, main ab aa raha hoon, whatever. So Adi used to always have these competitions for some reason. So he used to say, Uday, you write the scene, I write the scene, and then we'll check whose scene is better. So I wrote the scene, which was actually the climax scene is an adaptation of For Caesar's an Honorable Man. It's actually a sarcastic speech where he says, I love Simran. तो क्या हुआ if this lover is all मैं झूठा हूँ तो क्या हुआ अगर if this झूठा loves your daughter I'm a आवारा हूँ but so what if this आवारा loves her like nobody else can. So it's actually a sarcastic speech.
I'm very impressed of you brought in Shakespeare.
It was Shakespeare. You getting impressed would have not mattered to me at that time because who got impressed was Shah Rukh. So
much more important.
So he looked at me and he said, "तू हिंदी लिख सकता है?" तो ऐसे ना ही तू तो टाउन ही है तुझे कैसे पता हिंदी क्या होती है तो ऐसे नहीं मैं लिख सकता हूँ my spoken Hindi is not as strong. So he said अच्छा and I felt like Shah Rukh Adi gave me, which was very magnanimous of Adi, because we all know that nobody likes to give credit to anyone in this industry for anything. So he said, Karan wrote 80% of the scene. And at that point in time, Shah Rukh started looking at me differently. And after that, it became like just me and Shah Rukh got along. And then on top of a mountain, he told me that you should do a film and I'll do it. I'll do Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, whatever the film, my first film was.
Based on that speech?
Based on just that one that I had an understanding, instinct, yeah. And then Kajal was there floating around and she said, even I'll do it. Then I said, they're just talking rubbish, they're cold. It's very far away in Switzerland, they're missing their homes. Thand mein, they're just saying anything.
It's a cold, yes.
Yeah, so I was like, sometimes you get delirious in the cold. So I'm like, and then I came home and I told my father, and my father also thought they were delirious. My mother thought they were mad. They said, no follow-up. Shah Rukh called up my father and said, he used to call him Tom Uncle. So he said, Tom Uncle, I'll do your next film, Duplicate we're doing, but your next film your son will direct. So my father agreed, put the phone down. He's saying, wo pagal ho gaya, bol raha hai ki tu direct karega. So my mother saying, he's really gone mad. Like, what do you know? And I was also saying, yeah, what do I? I mean, all of us were in tandem, then I knew nothing. And somehow, he made me narrate some film, some fragments of a story that I narrated, I put together and, and I went to narrate it to him and he said, yeah, I'm on, we'll start October 97. And then Kajal narrated, and then she also agreed. Then the casting her was the trauma, because 8 people said no to me, and then she also nearly said no to me.
No, I
That's
never
what-
said no to you. Stop
but,
lying.
Yeah, we nearly had.
He's sold every interview.
No,
he says
no,
that.
he's just selling some wrong story from the beginning. I was the only one who said yes to him.
Yes, but and she took me into a room, and no girl had asked me to come to their room. And, she said, "Can you come?"
Can you just say why I took you to the room?
To ask me.
Yeah, explain it,
No,
please.
1 minute, please. This is sounding really strange. So I,
She said, "Can you come to my room? I have to tell you
yeah,
something."
to my bedroom. Yeah, I said that because Nikhil and Tarun, who were his assistants, they were sitting and staring at my face. Like, abhi ye haan bolegi ki na bolegi. So I was
Yeah,
like,
mujhe orange skirt
should
पहन के करना पड़ेगा.
should I embarrass Karan, because it was a thing that I wanted to ask him in privacy, and they were not seeming to move. They were like, "Nee, we are going to be here only." So I said, "Okay, then I'll just take Karan to the room and ask him what I want to ask him." So I took him to the room and I said, because I was new at that time, I didn't know anything about films or anything. So I said that, Karan, your story is amazing, and I think you're going to make a great film, because the way you narrated the film,
It's a
I
long
could
story.
actually visualize the whole film. But how are you going to convince an audience that Shah Rukh's character falls in love with Tina's character over Anjali, that is Kajal? Because they were after DDLJ, like
Yeah.
Shah Rukh and Kajal. So he was like, you just leave that to me. Just say a yes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on. You know, so I think at that point of time, the innocence and, you know, his passion for his first film
And the rejection
was so
before that.
amazing that as a young girl, I just thought that whatever happens, I want to work with this man, because he seems to be really honest, and I think he's going to make a very honest film.
Right.
So for me, I connected with Karan and I connected with the story, you know, and I thought that he had beautifully written it, and he was like really raring to go. And for me,
I think even BR is realizing this is going for too long now.
because I was an accidental actor, I was like, I just want to be with good people around me, you know. I just want the experience of being in films, a good experience. So I always chose good people at that point of time where I could connect with them, you know, and I felt safe.
And I had a really strange time casting Salman, because I had gone prior to that to Saif and then to Chandrachur Singh, and both had declined the film. And then Salman caught hold of me at a party and said that, I heard you've been shopping. So I said, I understood what he meant. So I said, he's saying, only a fool will do you this film, because I know the role is, you come and narrate it to me. So I went the next day, and I went to his house, and he was, you know, he used to stay in the same floor with his brothers. They all
He has a
stay
very
together
big
at
heart.
Galaxy. Yeah.
Salman has a very big heart.
Yeah, he was like, he heard the first half and said, I'm on, but he was not in the first half. So I was like, started getting stressed that I thought, I hope he doesn't think I've offered him Shah Rukh's role. So because I was like, I said, but Salman, you're in the second half. He says, no, I've understood the movie. I know what will happen. I'll do it. I love your dad, and I'll do it, and I'll do it. What is there? How many days you need? I said, 10, 12 days. He said, yeah, I'm on, whatever. So he was like, you just discuss the monies and all, whatever. And he said that my dad got into. And I walked in, first person I called was Adi, I remember. Because I was like, Salman said yes. And he's saying, what? He was like, I said, I don't know what's going on. Like literally it became suddenly, and I had no idea why Salman said yes. Till today, I have no clue why he said yes.
Because
He
he's
loved
a
your
father.
dad.
Yeah, he did. He said that, and I think that was really amazing. And I felt so blessed, because I remember those days we could keep secrets, because nobody knew Salman was in the movie. You know, when he gets introduced post the second half, there was a roar in the audience. Because today with the paparazzi and the media and the internet, how
It's like how Tiger showed up in Pathan in that sense.
to keep a secret like this? Those days nobody knew he was in the film. So it was quite an unusual casting. And then it all came together. Like when you ask me, 25 years have passed and it doesn't feel like that to me. But like Kuch Kuch Hota Hai was really born out of some kind of love and destiny.
yeah.
The talent comes after that, I think. You know, then I think, you know, it's just the universe has been kind.
Right. So I want to ask all the directors here, like when you thought of the film, what was the core?
Now I think he's going to like full questions open to
For
everyone.
us husband, what was the core of it when you decided you wanted to make it?
It's your instinct, mostly my instinct. And at the time, story comes to me.
Okay.
And I keep thinking about it for some time. And if I like feel like, okay, you fall in love with that story, it evolve also with time. and then just you go for it. And also it is the time. Sometimes, okay, this story is probably, this one is the best for the world today.
Right.
You know, then also you see the practicalities of, you know, your intended audience, lots of other things. Because I am not only the director, I'm also the producer of the film. So I started when sometimes I question myself, am I losing the purity of when I met Village Rockstars, Bulbul Can Sing? Because
Wonderful films.
you need to also sustain, you know, survive.
I cannot
as a
imagine she and Sandeep Reddy Vanga on the same, round table. There's no round table there, but yeah, just figure of speech. It's so, like, just to think of bringing them together is so weird. Like, and then Karan Johar also. Like, these people would never come together in life, and with their films also. But they are all together at the same platform talking. So that's great.
Maker. And then that question comes to my mind when now I choose a story. But I really appreciate like passionate, brave directors, producers. Probably they don't think about the outcome and just create a film. But nowadays I think, but I'm trying to also keep a balance. But with Tura's husband, I was here in Mumbai 3 months, the first lockdown. So when I was back, and it was different in my village. Like people were, like they started working, and I also thought, okay, let's go and make a movie.
Wow.
How that uncertainty
need
of
in
the
life.
time, and also I started seeing people like they looks fine outside, but they are broken inside. So that's how it started.
That was the core of the.
I
Nona's
think
husband.
so.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes.
Now, you mentioned, I'm going to come back to you, but like you mentioned being a producer. Now, Taapsee, your second film as a producer this year, Dhak Dhak, came out. And one thing that you said that was very interesting, you said it's so difficult to get these films out because most of the producers, they retrieve their money from the sales to the streamers.
Streaming platforms,
So there is no money left for P&A. Publicity and advertising. So it's very difficult for a potential audience to get such films across to a potential audience. Like from both of you, is there a solution?
Well, we are still, I don't think we have reached a stage where we have a solution for it. We are still like struggling and fighting about it because, see, my problem is either you put it on OTT straight away. OTT ends up saying that, okay, they don't want to put the P&A on a film which doesn't have a big star. Or you release it in theatre saying, okay, fine, we'll play on the front foot and put in some money and be fair to the film and we'll see whatever the outcome is. Now, what happens, they don't want to, the studios don't want to do that because they're very scared that doesn't have a big star. So it might just end up like, they might end up losing the film and they'll have bosses to answer to. So now what happens in this scene is you have a very token release of this film. And obviously, because it's a token release, it doesn't really end up collecting any money. And the film is tagged as flop.
Right.
And then it releases on OTT platforms 8 weeks later. And when it comes there, people feel like, oh, but when did it even release?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it released, but it was a flop. So basically, it's not worth my time and attention on OTT because it was flop, no, when it came. It was not like a Jawan, when it came, it was a big release and then everybody loved it. And now it's on OTT there also, everybody's loving it. It's not like that with these films. So
That actually happened because I remember when the film, I knew that it's coming out and it just vanished. I don't think it released near me also. And then OTT, like, same thought that, never heard anything. So let's skip.
it becomes a bigger struggle now because nobody wants to push the film. Everybody wants to be associated with good content and they want to be proud of nurturing something which was not really an obvious hit on paper. But when it comes to actually pushing it, not many people have the courage to push it like that. So I think that's where the films like these suffer, and I really want to understand how to find a solution for it because I'm not able to find a solution for it. But I'm hoping with time people probably have a solution, or at least let me know about it.
Yeah, surely we need brave producers, and also, like if you have a big budget, your expectation is different. But if you have a modest budget, and when I am making a film, the profit is not for.
I didn't even know how what's up like budget is what 10-20,000 like the the way she pulls off films, and they never feel like that's the beauty of it. It never feels like, oh, they're just cheap films made on a just small camera. They feel cinematic.
The single year, with Village Rockstars, it is every year also, like it is sometimes requests coming from platforms from different parts of the world, then universities. I get requests from universities. So I feel like
More awareness.
we should have a plan,
Right.
and how to balance it, that making the profit and making that market value also, looking at the long term. So there are many platforms. So from the very beginning, when you are making the movie, somehow you know your intended viewers,
Right.
and how to reach to them, Yeah, that is a struggle, but it is a complex situation. But I'm hopeful, and I think it is possible, because there are examples.
Well,
And-
OTT is also clutter now. It's not like,
Right.
Initially they were like, okay, one film releasing in couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So you know that, okay, this film is like the only new release for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Now it's like every week you have either an original or a post-release film coming on, and multiple OTT platforms. So now it's a clutter. So it's not like how it was 2 years back on OTT anymore. So you really need to, even though it's coming on OTT before or after the release or straight to OTT, it still needs some kind of a push.
Yeah.
Audience has
Promotion
so
is
many options.
everything.
So it's,
Yes.
you have to get their attention in some way. That's the struggle.
I think the two producers here can offer some tips maybe on what to do about the situation.
It is actually becoming, you'll be surprised on every level. It is very difficult today, while we're having the most amazing year in terms of box office, like, in terms of there's a big return to the cinema. There's that feeling like cinemas are back. Right, last year or the year before that, there was this talk that has the digital revolution taken over. Is cinemas now, a thing of the past? And then suddenly this year starts with Pathan, right up to Animal. I mean, like, it's going crazy. And the numbers are exponentially higher. Like,
Yeah.
the 300 crore club is now moved to the 500 crore club suddenly this year. And all kinds of films have worked. Like, literally, you have Rani's film that has worked.
Yeah.
12th Fail has worked.
Yes,
I mean, these are
yes.
all films that are nurturing. And there was also this thing that, the middle order film is not going to work. That has also been proven wrong this year. Every myth has been shattered. But still, satellite is at its lowest. You're getting the least amount of money for satellite. Digital now are being very discerning in what they're taking and not taking, because I think they'd put in a lot of their initial funds in the pandemic years. And now, because there are, the numbers are high for certain kind
They're
of...
not making. I think everywhere in Hollywood also, like Disney, everyone's losing money. Like whoever made a streaming service, they're losing money because people cannot, afford every streaming service. It's again becoming like a, satellite channel like Tata Sky, whatever. Have to buy different channels if you want to watch that. It's becoming too much. And if you don't offer something, to watch every month, something unique every week, so people will opt out, and even they are struggling now. I think pandemic, because everyone was home, they needed it. It just skyrocketed, and now it's coming down.
A-list tentpole films, they're not being able to. So now they're asking you to release the film theatrically, but you cannot, like Taapsee said, a film like Dhak Dhak and several other films that are high on content and are good films are getting that token. They get a 200 print release or a 500 print release, and people are not advertising. You don't know when it comes and it goes. So there is right now this...
Even the show timings, they'll give a show timing where they will give it with the non-important times. The important times, the evening shows, that like more people show up, they want to put the films that people want to come and watch. They should give those time slots to the films which are making them money. And all these films, they have to just adjust. They have to give them 2 shows. They'll give one early morning and one in the afternoon when no one shows up. And then not easy for everyone to, come for that show.
Solution is that literally, if you have the might, on really, like, for example, we produced a film called Kill. Now, I'm saying this because I put my money where my mouth is. Now, The Kill has a new actor. It has a lead actor. It has a director who's made like 2 smaller films prior to this.
This is the one with Guneet Vanga?
With Guneet. Guneet and I collaborate. It's an expensive action film. We had a Korean crew. We've spent a huge amount of money on the film. But it's a chance one took because we love the content. We love the director. It's a genre film. It's based entirely on a moving train. And it's got a new lead actor. We took a chance by going to TIFF with it. Because it was well reviewed, we managed to sell to Lionsgate, UK and USA. Now, I became suddenly an understanding person of what indie cinema is. Through Guneet, actually, I learned a lot because you're nobody there. You know, you're part of this big market. And you might be, I might be Dharma production here, but I'm 0 on 10 there. They don't know anything about me. They don't care about me. They just care about the content. So I realized that some of us who have studios, you have to really take the chances with certain genres that can break through. And then you have to build that film over it. Like, Kill will release in the second quarter of next year. But we've shown it to Toronto last September. So it sometimes takes very long to build a film everywhere, through the festivals, through the pipelines that are available. And then you do it. So you have to put your might behind films that are not just tentpole films. And we've done it. Like I supported Lunchbox in 2013, where I took that up as a challenge. That
I recently found out, they didn't send Lunchbox for the Oscars. Like the film, it was a film that made noise, and every film festival, it was, everyone's talking about this film. Everyone was waiting that this should be India's submission. There's a great chance, and India didn't send that.
Going to find an audience for it, and that was one of the first indie films that actually did a big theatrical number. So it's not that I haven't done that, but the effort is still ongoing. And as I said, the struggle and the hustle is still there. So no matter who you are, when you have to sell a film like Lunchbox, you have to really go and put in all your might to kind of make sure a platform buys it. You have to make sure you package it in a way that it gets a bigger, wider release. You actually come on a week where is completely empty, and there are no empty weeks left. So it's so when a Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway does the number that it does, it's purely on the strength of its content and how much actually it's been pushed by the lead actor and also by the studio, the faith they have. So it's a combination of two things. It is tough, it is challenging, but it's not impossible.
It is.
So, Rani, yours was the first real success of the year in a sense, because people expected something out of Pathaan. It's a big studio film, action film. Then the next big hit of Bollywood this year was Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, which again, Ranbir Kapoor, stardom, love Ranjan, all that. So there's a certain expectation out of that. Around that time, the chatter was that content films or like whatever, people will go to see on OTT, but they're not going to come to screens to come to see it. But this shattered that myth, like Karan said. But given the fact that this was the chatter before the release of the film, and certainly the year before, nothing had really done well. Were you a little bit nervous going up to Mrs. Chatterjee's release?
So actually, Mrs. Chatterjee is a very different film for me in my career, because when Nikhil approached me for the film, I actually lost my second child. So it was a very personal loss that I was going through.
Wow.
And during pandemic, you don't talk to people, nobody comes to, and as it is, me and my husband are very private people, and we don't talk about it. And I was really emotionally going through a really, really tough time dealing with it on my own, because once you have a baby, you have to always have an act in front of your child that everything is okay. So we couldn't even tell my daughter that this is what had happened. So I was going through my own thing, and when Nikhil told me about Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, my first reaction was that, are you serious? Are you joking with me? So he's like, no, Rani, this is a true story. And I was like, how can this be a true story? And how can an Indian family be treated like this in an outside country? And how is it even legally possible? He said, Rani, this is a true story. We've researched on this. And this lady has now won the case. She's got her children back. And I was just in shock. So I connected with the story in such a way that I was like, when I used to go to sleep at night, I used to think about Sagarika. Because as a mother who just has gone through the loss of a baby, I was just not being able to understand how is a mother coping with the loss of two of her children taken away from her, literally kidnapped, you know, and in some facility, and the youngest child being 5 months old. And I was like, she must be breastfeeding at that point of time. How did that mother deal with this trauma? So I connected so much with Sagarika that the chatter about whether the film will work, whether the film will not work in a pandemic world, whether what needs to happen with the peripherals of what we as producers and directors of being in the industry kind of keep thinking all the time. I literally connected only with the story. And I told my husband that I'm taking up this film because I really want to play this part because I really feel for this person. And I want this story to be out in the world because what I also understood is that this story was picked up by NDTV and by all the leading media channels when it actually happened in 2010. But there were a handful of people who knew about the story. Like, nobody really cares, And I felt so miserable about myself. I was like, what was I doing in 2010 that I didn't read about this? Or I didn't get to know about this? Or why wasn't I seeing the news at that point of time?
The time when news channels were news channels.
To actually think that a woman actually fought against a country to bring back her children. And I, as a Bengali mother, I became like fully like in that tigress zone in my head. And I was like, I have to get this done, And it was, in the bubble that we were shooting and we had to go to Tallinn because Norway obviously would not let us shoot there. Or there was some things with the producer which I didn't want to get into that. What was the reason why we couldn't shoot in Norway? So they finally locked in Tallinn. So we went to Tallinn. I took my daughter and went. And my
Tallinn, I'm first time hearing that.
Daughter was about 4 years old then, and 4 or 5, and she was doing homeschooling. And poor thing, she had to wake up at 6 in the morning every day in that cold of Estonia. But she was doing homeschooling. But I said that I will brave all things, but I have to play this part because I believe in the story and I believe in the fact that Indians, when they hear about this, they will be as shocked as I was because I'm an Indian and I was appalled by the fact that an Indian mother...
That worked, honestly, if I've seen the film. That, you were like, how? How can this even is possible?
Had to go through this in another country. So as an Indian, I felt like, is this how immigrants are treated abroad? Is this how immigrant families have to struggle? Like all the things that, when we grow up, we have cousins who live abroad. We feel that they live an amazing life and they have, it's always a chatter that, the grass is green on the other side and you have a great lifestyle there and you have this great and you have that great. But we actually don't realize the struggles that a family goes through just to get that one day going in a foreign country because you don't have help. And especially a young mother who is working, who's cleaning the house, who's taking care of the husband, who's taking care of the children, taking care of children, they have 2 children, they have 4 children, but they do this all by themselves. And imagine in that country to actually not know the language and to go through a trauma like this, what she must have gone through. So I said, I have to let my country people know that this is what is happening. And for me, that triggered me to make this film. After we finished making the film, obviously this conversation of whether the film will do well, whether the film will not do well, but I was very sure that this has to be a theatrical. And that was something that was there right from the beginning. I didn't care what people were saying about, these kind of films will not do. I had some kind of faith. And I don't know what faith that was. It was a faith that I had right from the day I had heard about this story about Sagarika. I said, this has to be theatrical. And I think we have to go with it. And I'm very happy and glad that Z, who are the producers, and of course Nikhil and Madhu and Manisha, who are the producers of the film, they kind of stood by this decision of mine. And they were with me with each step of the way. And they said, Rani, we trust you, we believe in you, and we are going to go through this and we will release this film and let's see what happens. And thank God the movie was a success. Because for me, as a filmmaker's daughter, as a wife of a filmmaker, I do understand what happens in terms of when a film doesn't do well. And it's very, very because our successes and failures are for all to watch. We can't sit at home and believe that nobody's going to mock at us or make fun of us if a film doesn't do well. it is difficult when a film doesn't do well because there's a loss of money, there's a loss of face. There's a lot of things that we all deal with in our own way, because for the outside world, film people and filmmakers and actors are for sometimes to be ridiculed as well, and they come up with so many things that they put on us. But the truth behind all this, like I think all the people who are here today will resonate with what I'm saying, is that we start a movie with the single most intention of entertaining the audience. And I think there is nothing else in our mind but that one single thing. Whether it's a germ of an idea, whether it's a film, it is always that we think, will the audience love this? I think the audience will clap on this line. Oh, the audience will love this song. Or it's the chatter in a filmmaking room, or when creative people are sitting together. It's not that you will like it and I will like it. It's like, will the audience like it? So at the end of the day,
Like more mainstream films, I would say.
we work for an audience. That is who we are, and that is what I have lived all my life in that, thing. My father was not a very successful producer at the time that I was growing up, and I'm married to one, and I see him go through things every day. So as an actor in the industry for 27 years, and as a person, I think we are responsible also to our producers to be giving back that to the producers. Like, we don't want to make films where we see a producer losing money. Because for me, if my producer makes money, I'm the most happy. I'm like, yes, the mission is accomplished. And when the audiences reward me with their love, for me, that's bigger than any award that I can get.
Now, Prithvi, you're going to release Hadnelantu, otherwise known as 17ers, coming January?
Yes.
Yeah, you're the best kept secret because you make these amazing films that play at festivals. And have you had a theatrical release?
Well, we did. For Pinky Ali, we did. I think of all these people, you are the only person who has watched my films.
No, he watched it. He actually asked for the links.
I asked for the It's nice. I really like both of them.
Thank you. So the thing is, see, for the kind of films that I make, we don't make it in crores. We make it in lakhs, actually. And we are not targeting a huge audience. We need a certain section of the audience to watch our film. And I know that there is a big number of them who want to watch films like mine. But the problem is there is no means to connect them with my films. Now, back in a few years ago, at least the OTTs were open to films like this. But now even they, especially when it comes to Kannada films, I don't know, maybe with other languages also it's the same thing, I don't know. There is a slight disconnect between OTTs and the audience in the sense that the kind of films that they're picking are either big budget commercial successes or star-backed films. I'm not really sure that the audience who choose to watch films on OTTs are looking for content like that. They're looking for actual content, not necessarily star-backed, films or big-budget films. But they're not taking that. As of now, OTTs are not welcoming such films in Kannada. So
that's the same everywhere.
Yeah, possibly. What they want is for us to release the film first in cinemas. Now that doesn't work for us because you have to spend a lot of money in marketing. Same issue. Yeah. And when she said she didn't have a star, I was like, what is she doing? I have nothing. If she doesn't have a star, I have nothing. Yeah. So for
Even I have nothing.
So for someone like me to sell my film,
they're connecting of not having anything.
We had to think completely outside of the box. So for Hadnelantu, which we are releasing on January 26th, what we are planning to do is, we have started a crowdfunding. Now through this crowdfunding, by the way, this is not a solo release. We are actually, we wanted to combine a number of festival films, which are good films. See, the moment you say festival films, you get that's a negative thing in India. Yeah. So we wanted to combine a number of these films and release them together on the same day, like a festival, across multiplexes in major cities in Karnataka, not outside of the state. But we could get only 2 films to go together.
Sorry to interrupt, but when you say we, you mean like a bunch of filmmakers?
Bunch of films, but we couldn't do that. Okay. So right now, what we're doing is we are releasing 17ers, that is Hadnelantu, along with another film called Koli Esru. Right. That is also a very good, a film which has won a lot of awards at various film festivals. So what happens is when you release these films, we wanted to add more films, but we don't have them. So when we release these films together, your marketing budget comes down drastically. You're basically sharing the marketing budget, the P&A budget. Okay, that's one thing. But then how do you get the audience? Because an audience, somebody who wants to watch a film like mine, he probably has not even heard of this film.
Yeah.
So how do you reach him? We need more time to reach him, because the moment you release your cinema, you can't mobilize the people. You're done. You can't release your cinema and then tell them to come and watch the film. So we wanted to take our own time. We have kept about 1.5 months. We have started a crowdfunding where people, through this 1.5 months, we will mobilize the people. Now they will come, they will contribute a certain amount of money, and they will get tickets in return. Once the film releases, of course, they can go and watch the film. So we have kept this time to mobilize the people. That is the hardest part, actually.
You started it, when did you start it?
We started like 3-4 days ago.
Oh, nice.
I think one thing, recently a documentary filmmaker whose film got a national award in editing, he did a very interesting thing of reaching out to, even me. I was busy, so I couldn't watch the film and share it. But like a lot of people on social media who talk about films, and through them, he kind of did a small publicity. And, those are the people who are actually cinephiles, So they, because they got understood about this film, and this was not even coming in theaters, it was coming on YouTube. So on the first day itself, a lot of people went to watch the film the moment it released. So that, helped the film on YouTube, and, it went to more people and more people. So that was a good strategy, for smaller films that you can use, because, creators like these have created their own communities who enjoy films. Okay, some creators are focused more on, the bigger films, but there are many creators who, talk about smaller films. So this community, on social media, there are people who have already built it. So you can actually, instead of spending money, on, print and all of that stuff, where it doesn't matter, you can spend money with these people to do a better job at, telling people about your film. So I think that can be something to look forward in the future.
We have our own website called paraspara.live. Paraspara means each other, each other. So we have started that. I think I see a ray of hope in that, because we already have started gathering some traction. It's reaching people. And see, we can't release our cinemas in single screens. That would be disaster. So we have to target only multiplexes, and even there, it's not easy to get people. So
the
that's
multiplex audience is already cluttered with so much content.
Yeah, I know.
And they're so busy.
And it doesn't, see, I think in every week in Karnataka, apart from other language films, at least 8 to 10 Kannada films are getting released.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not easy. So we wanted to take our time, take 1.5 months, mobilize the people, and make sure that this will be a success, because we have already gathered a good traction, and it's circulating very well in the social media. And we really hope to see some good results from Jan 26.
Such an amazing and
That's
inventive
really
idea.
interesting.
Yeah. So you came up with this
Find
crowdfunding
a
idea.
different way to reach.
When we released Pinky Ellie, you have seen the film. That was actually, you see, what happened with Pinky Ellie was it was the pandemic year. Otherwise, I am pretty sure that it would have reached some really big film festivals and made big news. Actually, even at the rough cut stage, there were interests from from big Hindi production houses for a remake. That never happened, by the way. But when we released the film, we didn't do enough marketing. People still don't know that there is a film called Pinky Ellie and it got released. Some people are asking me even today, when are they going to release the film?
I heard about this film through, there's in Goa, we have a local entertainment society where they play a movie every week. That's where I heard about this film. I think he also came after the screening.
So this time we want to take enough time, do this crowdfunding successfully, get the people to the cinema halls, and then make sure that it goes to the OTTs. And by the way, in, I don't know, again, with other languages, in Kannada, what is happening is the satellite, the TV channels, they're not at all open to such films. Again, they are looking for some, star-backed, some big names to back the film so that they can get their TRP or whatever. So that door is kind of closed for us. But the door that is still open for us is the OTT. And to get there, this is the means. But how do you get audience in cinema? This is the way.
It's brilliant. It's like,
And this may be controversial, but I would say that YouTube is not bad place. Like it's a free OTT that everyone has access. If you buy a new smartphone, it comes preloaded. So that's the biggest platform out there. Now, of course, you may not get money for uploading, but over time, you earn money through YouTube, and that too when your film is getting like, if you put on YouTube, that's there forever, and you can keep talking about it, and then even do publicity. Then people come and watch the film. You'll earn the revenue. So that's also one way. There's one, like there are many ways on YouTube as a, if you put your films there, you can earn a lot of money. Show behind the scenes. People who want to get to know more about the film, they can subscribe and become a member, and then through that, like there's many options, many things to consider, but maybe financially it's not that viable.
Very strategic way of approaching,
Yeah.
like turning a, like that's brilliant.
I will tell you next time if it's success or not.
All be watching Hawkeye.
Yeah, please.
But again, like to get back to that core question, what was the core of 17ers? How did you?
So for me, you have a certain idea that that you find interesting, and that stays in your mind. It just doesn't go away. And over a period of time, it might mature to an extent, but not really to the extent of turning it into a screenplay. But that's where I start my research. Most of my films are research based. I talk to a lot of people. I get the right information. I then write the script. So that's what happened with Pinky Ellie, and that's what happened with 17ers also. With Hadinel also, it started with the idea of two teenagers, making an explicit video in a classroom, and the video getting leaked on the internet. That's how it begins. But then where do you take it? You can take it in different directions. You can turn it into a teen comedy. You can turn it into a kind of a college action drama, whatever. But I wanted to take it in a direction that has not been seen by the world before. So I gave it those colors, those slightly political colors, slightly gender, caste colors. And then, of course, I didn't want to restrict it there. And then I took it to the police, the court, the whole 9 yards completely into take an audience through a journey that he is unlikely to see, but probably would have happened to somebody, in this country that we are not aware of. So that's how it works for me. You start with an idea, but then it matures over a period of time. And when it doesn't work, when you don't know where to go, you start the research. You meet the people, you ask questions, you get answers, you take it to the end.
Right. And Jude, for you, it was basically the idea that I want to make a movie about the 2018 floods. That was the
2018, everyone is here is all about the Kerala people who struggled in the flood which happened in 2018. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was also a victim of the flood, and I lost my house and everything. Literally, I was in a depressed state when the flood was over. Then there's an Bodhini NGO. They approached me and asked me if I can do a video to give a motivation to the people of Kerala, saying that the life is not over, you have to move on, something like that.
Like you turn a tragedy into a achievement of a sort, like that you came together as one and fought it and came out victorious. To turn a tragedy, which you'll remember for just the sad things, a bad memory, turning it to a happier memory that you accomplished, like you crossed it, you took it, you suffered it, but you came out of it, to give you that and turn it into happy memory in a sense.
And I was thinking, I am the one who need that video. So I started researching on the flood timings, because I was not watching TV. I was not able to watch TVs or newspapers or something. So I read all the newspapers in those timings, and I watched all the videos in YouTube. So I was thinking, like, this is a nice story, huge story of humanity coming together. I should tell to this the world. I have done only 3 films before, under 3 crore budget, 3 crore Indian rupees budget. So I was like, this is a huge film. And in my inner mind, I was saying that this is your chance to do a bigger film, and some producer will come for you. And so I pitched this idea to my producer and said that this film can be done in our industry. It's a big film, but with multi-star. Like, we need more stars than a single hero. And fortunately, it was okay before the pandemic. And after the pandemic was like, the producer was not even taking my calls. He was like, you can't do 5 films with 5 heroes, not this one. And I said, no, I want to make this film. It took me around 4-5 years to make this film, but I was very strict and I was very passionate about this film. In meantime, I made another film for this.
Sarah's.
Yeah, Sarah's in Amazon Prime. But again, I was trying for this. So this was like a personal thing for me because everybody was saying you cannot do such big films because you are just a small filmmaker. You have done only 3 films within 3 crore budget. So I was like, oh, I have to do this. So all these challenges, the people will challenge you like you cannot do that. Then you'll be like, yes, I can do that. I will make you wrong. Like I will prove you wrong. Then after the film was released and the first day of the release,
these kind of stories, should happen more. You want
everyone was saying the same. Like, how did you do this? Then I said, this is what we all are capable of doing. Whatever we want, we just have to
Have the faith.
take the first step. Yeah, that's it. So
Nice.
that's how it happened.
And Sandeep, the core of Animal, was it always the father-son?
So interesting, people don't have budget, lakhs, and just 3 crores, and you're coming to guy, he just yesterday 800 crores. The drasticness.
Yeah, I always felt, in films, we always give an idea to the audience that, everything is settled in the climax. But I always felt the love stories are always angsty. They never, it's always unsettled. So then I always have an idea of, father and son stories. So I thought like I'll give this unsettling love story angle to it. And with a family drama and little action. So that idea was there right after Arjun Reddy, and it took a while for me to finish. And I don't know how everything fell in place. When it is in the idea form, I narrated to Ranbir. So he loved it with a 5-minute narration. And after 1 year, I think after 8 months or 9 months, I met him again with almost 3-4 hours of narration. And that's it, yeah.
So you decided to treat a father-son relationship with the angst of a love story.
Yes. I thought, yeah.
Okay.
Because even in the climax, it is like, I didn't make them hug also once.
Yeah.
Because I've seen most of the father-son relationships, they'll always stand like 4 feet ahead. Dur se. They don't even touch also.
Yep.
A hug and a shake hand becomes a big thing. It becomes very awkward. We see in films a lot happening, but in real life, I felt.
Yeah.
With mother, it will be very close, but with fathers, it will be always a distance of 4 feet, So yeah, that's what, yeah.
Now, Karan, when you said angst and love stories, you made a statement recently that today's generation, they approach love with a lot of angst and anger. Do you remember making the statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, no, because you make a lot of statements. You give a lot of interviews, so I'm just making sure that you remember this particular one. So,
sometimes it's tough to remember what I've said.
sorry. Do you think that's the reason that even though Rocky or Rani is successful, it doesn't reach the heights of a Kuch Kuch Hota Hai or a DDLJ?
Honestly, it's like you said, like what is the trigger point to start off a story in your head? I was chasing like a film that really spoke to me about the sheer joy of all the components that I grew up watching and I hadn't visited as a filmmaker. I felt like that song and dance and family and love and yet saying something. It was very much the thought was patriarchy versus matriarchy. It was pretty much about that because we do know that the Bengali community are predominantly a matriarchal society, and Punjab, everybody knows that's predominantly led. But there are strong women and strong men on both sides, so I'm not generalizing it at all. But there was the film had a certain kind of communication that was definitely more woke and definitely catering to a more urban audience. So I'm actually thrilled with the box office business because I was very worried. Because I felt like everyone like that before that was saying.
The film, I think, made 300 crores maybe worldwide, and still people are calling it didn't do well, and I don't know. Like, who cares, man? Just talk about the film. Why the box office?
That love stories are not going to make any money. And, the overseas market is not reacting to it as much. The Indian markets are not reacting, and this film is not going to connect the way it used to in the 90s when I made Kuch Kuch and Kabhi Khushi and, those movies. So I was like, I think the day before the release of the film, I felt I was going to have a cardiac arrest, and I'm not lying. My body was shaking, like I had a physical reaction. People who hugged me at the screening before have taken me aside and said, "Are you okay? Is all well? Why is your body shaking?" I was really stressed because I really felt like this kind of cinema may not connect. And then when there was applause in scenes and like laughter in the theater, and it did the business that I actually had put aside as the number, and it did way better than I imagined, exponentially better overseas. I was like, okay, so I made the film that I really believed in, and the origin of the story actually was a true story that happened within my family about an uncle of mine who actually went back into a past love life of his, which what happens with Dharamji and Shabana ji in the film. Right. So that was really the trigger thought, and then it built into Rocky and Rani's characters. And I used to see, during the pandemic, I used to see a lot of West Delhi Instagrammers, talk and upload stuff. So I got like Rocky Randhawa from there. Like, I used to love the way they used to speak with such abandon and confidence. And like, I love that. I love that he actually was such a green flag guy, but also really endearing, unaware. He was almost like the 2023 version of Pooh. But like he was an updated version of that, and a green flag guy. Having said that, my film, like people have come up to me when I spoke about how much I loved Animal. They've come and told me, but you made Rocky or Rani. Like, that's the vaccination for a film like Animal. It's the opposite extreme. And I'm like,
So that's the sickness.
I said I cannot disagree with you more, because I think Animal to me is my best film of the year. And it took me a while to kind of reach.
A lot of people be angry. I think recently Anurag Kashyap posted a picture with Sandeep Reddy and he just praised him and all. And I saw so many people upset, like, how can he do it? He changed sides. He's on the dark side now.
This statement and a lot of courage, because when you're around people, you fear judgment. Like during the time of Kabir Singh, which I also loved, I was like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to get dirty looks from certain people, but I don't care anymore. I'm just going to say it, that I loved Animal for its front-footed, absolutely conviction-based narrative storytelling, breaking grammar, breaking myths, breaking everything that you think is...
This chain is in the mic, it'll make noise, not a good thing.
You conform to in mainstream cinema. Suddenly you have an interval block where the hero's getting bashed up and people are singing a song. I'm like, where have you seen a sequence like this? It's genius. The end, when the two men are going for each other and they play that song, I had tears in my eyes and there was only blood. So I was like, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with him, but something put together is very right about this film. Like, I'm like, this is not an average thinking mind. This is the mind of somebody who's so distinct and so individualistic that I was...
Is he trying to poach Sandeep Reddy Vanga? Like, come make, leave T-series, make films for Dharma.
So blown away, I saw the film twice. First to see it as an audience, second to study it. Because I feel like, and I'm going to make it not a sweeping statement, but I think the success of Animal, the acceptance of Animal and the film itself is game-changing. And I'll tell you why, because it's going to bring in a tone and a syntax that doesn't exist, that we seem to have got.
I agree.
The construct of a scene, like what I love about Sandeep, even in Kabir Singh and Arjun Reddy, I love that he has a popular song, he plays it. Then he stops it whenever he wants to. Before the refrain comes out, he stops it. He starts it when he wants to. He cuts a scene how he has to. It's like he's telling his story with such conviction. And that's the conviction that I believe I also want to have, and which I had while making Rocky Rani. I was like, people were saying, but single screens will not like this film. Yeah. This one will not like that film. Like Rani was saying, like she wasn't thinking of who will like what film. I'm like, arey, make your film. if you make it well with the conviction, you will find an audience. I never wanted to make 500 crores. I knew my film was not capable. I'm very happy for all of you who have made 500 crores on my left and right. But I very well knew this film is not going to do that number. But is it going to satisfy me as a filmmaker? Absolutely. Am I going to feel proud of it at the end way? Absolutely. Is it good? Entirely no. It's flawed, like all films are. But I felt like 25 years later, if I can make a film that can cater to a Gen Z audience as well as a family audience, and you've done something right. And when as I said, conviction is paramount. To me, all of us here are here because of our conviction, right? As artists, and when I see Sandeep's films, they're so, and you can debate it. You can debate the politics, you can debate the scenes. But I'm aroused by the cinema of this film. I'm engaged by the cinema of this film. That's all I want to talk about. You get into the nitty-gritties of every film, you can find flaws, you can find red flags, but I'm like, the biggest green flag is the talent of this man who has actually conceptualized this film. And this year I saw so many like great, fun, entertaining films, but there was only one film that taught me something, and this film taught me something.
Interesting.
Right.
So guys, that is part 1. Really enjoying the discussion. Now you can watch part 2 here.